I just see one thing in my head all the time. From the time that I wake and the time that I go into sleep, I see myself winning the fight. And to be completely honest, I put in the hands of Jesus Christ, and the rest is going to be history. I am being truly honest. I will beat Saint Denis on September 28th in Paris.
He is one of the top lightweight fighters in the world and also the unofficial financial advisor to all fighters and media now. He is returning at UFC Paris in the main event against Benoit Saint Denis. It is always my great pleasure to speak to Renato "Money" Moicano. Renato, how are you?
Very good. How about you, my friend?
I'm fantastic, man. Thank you for taking time for me as always. Obviously, big fight coming up just around the corner, another main event. Can I ask, like, how did you react when they called you and said Benoit Saint Denis in Paris? Like, it's not just him. You're going to Paris with this.
Let's go. Let's go. I never been to Paris. I don't care either. But guess what? I'm being here in France.
It's an interesting situation, right? Because obviously it's a main event, but you're kind of stepping into his territory. But listen, it's not the Apex, right? Like, it's not the Apex. I know you're not a big Apex guy.
Yeah. No, it's not an Apex. It's going to be a crowd. Of course, the crowd is going to be hostile. I'm on his territory, but I have said that many times, and I cannot afford to lose. And September 28th, I'm going over there to beat Benoit Saint Denis on his own home, on his own country, and I'm going to take over.
It seems like Renato over the last few years, like you've become a real fan favorite, not only because of what you're doing in the cage, but also because people love your personality. They love your post-fight interviews. So in a weird way, like, do you feel like are you actually stepping into enemy territory? Because I feel like you're going to have a lot of fans on your side over there.
Not in Paris, for sure. Not in Paris. Benoit Saint Denis probably is one of the most hyped hyped up fighters from Europe. And him being in France, of course everybody's going to be on his side, but doesn't matter. They cannot fight, you know. When they lock the cage, it's going to be me and him, and the best man will win, and that's going to be me.
I love it. I remember talking to you. This is going back to last year. And we talked about when Benoit was facing your teammate, Dustin Poirier, and you were not a fan of that fight. You did not like the idea that Benoit would step in and take on Dustin. So, like, can I ask, like, A, what did you think of that fight? Obviously, Dustin won. And then B, did you at least get, like, a little laugh when you got the call to fight Benoit? Because I know you were not a huge fan when you got Dustin.
Yes, I was not. Because, man, you're going to force me to say things that UFC don't like. You know, you're going to force me to say things that UFC don't like. But I think it's that UFC likes Benoit Saint Denis. UFC wants to push Benoit Saint Denis, and that's the truth because he went in the UFC with very good performance. He beat his opponents in a very good fashion, but he didn't face big names. And to fight against Dustin Poirier, that's not an easy fight to get, right? How many people fight with Dustin Poirier? Poirier fought McGregor. Poirier fought. You name it. On the 155 division, he fought everybody. He's a legend, and 100% he is a fight that if you win against Dustin Poirier, you're on a title shot conversation, and that's why Poirier after Benoit Saint Denis fought for the belt. So 100% they trying to push Benoit Saint Denis, and I'm not even mad with that. It's just business. I know Europe is a huge market. They don't have many European fighters doing very well. And Benoit Saint Denis is a dangerous fighter. He's an aggressive fighter. And UFC likes him. He's young, you know. He's young, European, a good market, good. He can make good money for the UFC. But guess what? UFC called the wrong guy because I'm going over there and I'm beating him.
I love it. It's funny because when he fought Dustin, he had a little success early, and then obviously he started to gas out a little bit, and you kind of see – I mean, Dustin is just a monster. You train with Dustin. You know what kind of a guy Dustin is. Can I ask, like, do you think the moment got to him, like, in that fight, like, where it just seemed like it's almost like, I knew he, like, you know how good Dustin Poirier is. I don't think he underrated Dustin Poirier, but saying that and actually going in there with Dustin Poirier are two different things, and it just seemed like the moment kind of overwhelmed him when he didn't get that finish early, and then he just kind of ran out of gas and Dustin took over.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I never know what going through other person's head, right? So I don't really know. But I feel that he was overconfident, confidence. I think he thought that he would beat Poirier easy, and Poirier is not an easy fight, and it happens what happens. You know, I don't like to take bases like to watch my opponent's fight and say I think he did that because of that. No, I just watch. I see what he does good, what he does bad. How can I take advantage of certain positions and the way he fights? So I don't think too much about what happened on his head,
Yeah.
if
Can I
that
ask,
makes
like,
sense.
no, it does. It does. And you said I'm asking you questions that when you're going to give me answers the UFC doesn't want to hear. Can I ask you this though, Renato? Because this is Paris. It's a big market. You mentioned big main event. Obviously, and like I thought when they booked this fight, I was like, oh well, Cyril Gahn is probably going to headline. They end up putting Benoit in here. Is there any part of you that feels there's a little bit of that Dustin Poirier thing going on again, where they're trying to build him up? And obviously, I don't think they're rooting against you necessarily. I don't think that's the case, but do you feel like there's any part of that again where they're trying to give him a headline fight against a popular guy like yourself? You're on a streak. They're trying to build him back up after what happened to Dustin.
That was I don't know if my English is still clear, but that was what I was saying. I think that yeah, I was expecting to see Cyril Gane. We have to ask why Cyril Gane is not fighting on France and he's fighting on Saudi Arabia, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. The only sense is they want to build him up. They want to build him back. And right now, like you say, a lot of people were paying attention on UFC 300. So, uh, but again, I take my hats off to the UFC because UFC is the best in the business for a reason. But I will have to prove them wrong again. That's not gonna be the first time. All my fights, all throughout my career, I was always the underdog. And not only that, even on being a athlete, every day I woke up and my father and my mother say, you're not gonna make it. Give it up. Try to find a job. And I was no. One day they're gonna see. It's the same thing I feel with the UFC. I will push. I will do my best. I will get wins. And one day UFC will have to promote me the way I want to. And to be honest and to be fair, of course, on my side, I think they are trying to push Benoit Saint Denis. But again, it's France, main event. The fight is abroad. It's going to have a lot of cameras, a lot of attention. So I just have to win and be myself and do what I do. So I'm happy.
Yeah, one thing, I had this conversation with Matt Brown on my podcast, and he made a good point. He said if the UFC wants a guy to win or they're protecting him, they wouldn't give him a dangerous fight. And then, Nato, you're a very dangerous fight. So they're actually trying to promote Benoit Saint Denis, or they're trying to build him up. There's a lot of other lightweights he could go out there and beat and, demolish and, make a big scene. You are obviously on a great win streak. You're a very tough opponent. So, again, I think there's a reason you're here, because I think they know you can win this fight. And also to that point, listen, I know every time you step in there, you would love to just go out there and knock out a guy in the first round, but that's just not how the sport works. When Benoit faced a little adversity against Dustin, we kind of saw what happened. And again, I know Dustin Poirier is a different animal, but you've shown, like, you can get hit and come back. You can get taken down and come back. You can have a bad round and come back. Do you feel like those are all factors that you're going to see, like, what he's built of in this fight? Because if things don't start to go his way, you know how that goes. Some guys fade. Some guys can't deal with that adversity.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He said that he had staph infection, right? That could have affected him. I had staph infection on the fight before Jalen Turner with Drew Dober, and it did affect me in a certain way. So I don't really know. And to be really honest with you, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. I'm going over there and I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm doing everything that I need to do to be ready for September 28th. I'm not trying to spar really hard and win every round at the gym. I'm not killing myself the way I used to do. I am training very hard, very diligent. I don't know how to say that in English. In Portuguese, is diligente. Diligently, I don't fucking know. But I'm training the way I need to be on my peak performance is September 28th. I'm not fucking giving up. I'm going over there to bring the heat, to bring the show, and to win. That's the truth. I want to win. I want the bonus, you know. I want the double checks, and I want to keep going, you know. So, so I want the platform to speak stuff that I want to, that I think is important, that usually fighters don't do. So I'm going to use as my advantage the platform that they will give me on France.
Absolutely. Can I ask you? I know you got a lot of ways you can win, Renato. Your teammate Dustin Poirier said he thinks you're going to submit him. Do you like that? Do you like that prediction? Dustin said he thinks you're going to go out there and submit him.
I don't know. Benoit Saint Denis is not an easy guy to submit because he's a good uh, grappler too. You know, he I don't know, brother. I don't really know how that fight going on. I just see one thing in my head all the time. From the time that I wake and the time that I go into sleep, I see myself winning the fight. And to be completely honest, I put in the hands of Jesus Christ, and the rest is going to be history. I am being truly honest. I will beat Saint Denis on September 28th in Paris.
I love it. You know, we've talked about a lot of different potential matchups for you before and after fights, Renato, and one that I know you know comes up constantly is the Paddy Pimblett thing. And I think I saw even on Twitter after Paddy beat Bobby Green or King Green a couple of months ago, even you were kind of shocked, like, because I had a lot of faith in, man, did he go out there and impress me? Can I ask, like, I know we've talked about Paddy in the past. Were you impressed by Paddy when he beat Bobby Green?
I am very impressive. I think after the Bobby Green fight, I think Paddy Pimblett is a tougher matchup than Dan Hooker. You know, back in the day, I would be crazy to say that, but right now we saw what Dan Hooker did to Mateus Garou. He got cut many, many times on the first round, and was a close fight. I don't think he did win, but if you see the way uh, Paddy Pimblett finished Bobby Green, and Bobby Green is not an easy guy to submit, and the way he did. So props to Paddy Pimblett. You know, I was one of the doubters, but he did great. He did a great job against Bobby Green, and he needs and he deserves some respect. Not much, but some respect.
Do you say, listen, I know your focus is only on Benoit Saint Denis, but, you know, we've talked about this before, Renato. Some fights are just bigger than rankings, right? I mean, you know, Connor's an example. Like, Connor's not ranked. You've got a bigger win streak than Connor. But if Connor came out and said, Renato, let's fight, you would sign that fight tomorrow. I know you would, because it's just a massive fight. I know Paddy is not Connor. He's not that big. But is that one of those fights, if it got presented to you, it's still interesting because he does have a name. He does bring a crowd. Whereas, because I think right now he's like 5 spots behind you in the rankings. So obviously, like, you looking ahead, you'd be looking at the guys in that top 5 or 6 after a win like this. But is Paddy a fight that would still potentially interest you just because of who he is and the name he's built?
Ranking doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter, because if rankings did matter, I would not fight Benoit Saint Denis, because there is no point and I'm fighting backwards. The only point that I'm fighting Benoit Saint Denis is because he's a tough opponent, and that fight is going to give me a lot of exposure. And on this sport, as in outside the sport, you need exposure. You need people to want to watch you. You need to people want to tune in to see what's going on. Like, I like this guy. I'm gonna follow him on social media. I'm gonna buy his stuff. I'm gonna support him when I need, and that's what moves. Not only the sport, but every every marketplace. So, of course, Paddy Pimblett is a fight that I think that would be awesome. That would be great. I think that would be nice. You see, we see some guys on the top 15 that people don't even know them. You know, because doesn't fucking matter. People don't know rankings. People know, like you say, personality. They know people that they can relate to. You know, they can see, this guy is real. He's talking stuff that I like. So, I don't know. Some people are funny, other people are different. You know, and and some people like to follow different people. So I don't care too much about the rankings because UFC doesn't make uh, not choose doesn't make decisions based on rankings. They make decisions based on popularity and how much money they can make off a fight.
Yeah.
We seeing that. We're seeing that over and over. So 100% I will be willing to fight uh, Paddy Pimblett. But let's see. Let's see. I need September 28th, and then I will talk some shit.
Yeah, no, I love it. And listen, I like Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker's a very good fight, but I think because of who you are and the name you built in Alto and the name to Paddy, is like, I think you and Paddy is a bigger fight. That's not a knock on Dan Hooker. I think he's an incredible fighter, but just in terms of name value, everything goes well for you on September 28th. You and Paddy are either headlining a card or at worst you're like a pay-per-view co-main event. Like, that's how good of a fight that could be. And I think that's different. Not every fight can do that, right? Like, not every opponent you can fight a lot of guys in lightweight division. They'd be ranked ahead of you maybe right now, but it wouldn't be as big as that fight.
Of course, we see guys ranking like I don't want to talk too much shit because I don't have nothing against the guy. I think he's a great human being. I think he's a good fighter, but he's not in his prime anymore. Benil Dariush, he's still ranked. Yeah, a fight. If I could choose, fight Benil Dariush or Benoit Saint Denis or even Paddy Pimblett or sometimes even Bobby Greens. I would choose somebody else at the moment because it's all about the moment that you are right now, how people are perceiving you, perceiving your career. And some guys are maybe up in the rankings, like they are in a good position in the rankings, but as far as popularity, they are not. So I agree with you. I think Paddy Pimblett will be a great fight.
Can I ask? I know I mentioned your teammate and of course your friend Dustin Poirier. You trained with him down at American Top Team after his last fight with Islam. He had mentioned the potential of retirement, and now he's come out and said it looks like he's going to fight again. Can I assume you're happy that Dustin's sticking around for another fight? I've talked to a lot of the guys at ATT, Grant Dawson, some of the guys down there, and of course everyone wants to see Dustin fight. Dustin's a legend, but obviously, listen, time comes for everyone when they have to retire. Were you happy to see Dustin say he's going to stick around, at least do one more?
100%. I'm a huge fan of Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is one of the most solid guys that I ever met, right? He's real. He's not like I always say, I don't consider him a friend because we don't talk too much. He's very professional at the gym, but look up to him. I think he's a legend. He's a whole model, and I'm a huge fan of Dustin Poirier. Always professional, always on time, always doing his best, always trying to help people at the gym. He helped me many times. So, and we saw his last fight against Islam Makhachev was a great fight. He did he did what most of people think he could not do. Right, 5 rounds, almost 5 rounds. He got finished, but he was doing a great job defending the takedowns. He's not young. But to be completely honest with you again, if I were right, was or were, if I were Dustin Poirier, I would stop because he has a lot of money. A lot of people know he has other business, so he doesn't need fight anymore. He fight because he loves. So, uh, but as a fan, I would I would be happy to see him fighting again.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, when you get to that point, and I know, listen, you are Money Moicano, you're out there getting the money. You got to figure out why you're fighting, right? So, and I've had this conversation with other fighters where they say that you don't need to fight, you want to fight, and there's a difference, And when you need to fight, when you need to make money, you're trying to pay your bills. There's a difference between that and wanting to fight. So everyone's got a different reason, and I guess Dustin still finds his reason. But I know a lot of people have said exactly what you said. He's got a lot of money, tons of money. Happy families. I mean, he's a legend. He's going to be a UFC Hall of Famer. So, do you need to fight again? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. Like you have to ask yourself, like you say, why are you fighting? I'm fighting for money. I'm fighting to be really wealthy and to take care of my family and have a lot of time to spend with my family and to help people, like friends and family. So um, to me, it's not a question if I want, if I like, doesn't matter. I will fight and I will finish and beat everybody in front of me because that's my job. That's what I need to do right now. 5 years from now, I don't know.
Let me ask you, Renato, you're going to Paris to fight Benoit Saint Denis in his backyard. I know you trained down in Florida at American Top Team. Of course, you are a proud Brazilian. Now, I know it's all about the money at the end of the day, but if you had to choose like a hometown fight, like where you would get to choose like where you fight, would you like to? Because I know some guys don't want to do home fights because there's so much pressure, tickets, family members saying, "Can I come to the fights?" So, like, if they offered you a fight to go back to Brazil or even in Florida where you built a big fan base and obviously you got your team in American Top Team, would you be into that? Because I know some fighters are not. Like, they're like, I did it once, I'd never want to do it again. And, like, I don't really want to do the hometown thing. It's not my thing. So, how do you feel about that? Would you ever want to do that?
Yes, 100%, especially in Florida because I would sleep at my home, at my own bed, spend time with my family, because the worst thing about traveling, the flight is going to be hard, 8 hours, and then I have to check in the hotel and be in a different place. That's the bad thing about fighting abroad. If I could fight here on the backyard in Florida, that would be much much better. But I don't uh, I don't got that option to choose, so I don't even think about that.
Yeah.
But if I could, but if I could But if I could choose a country that I would like to fight, definitely would be Italy. I never been to Italy, and I would like to fight right in Italy.
Now, can I ask, are you a pasta fan, Renato? Because you're gonna get some Italian food going.
I love pasta. I love pasta. I love Italian food. I love Brazilian food. I love all foods. But would be opportunity for me to. I never been to Europe. It's going to be the first time. Will be opportunity to fight at least to go to Rome to see the Colosseum, to see all the ancient history, and especially on the Roman Empire and see all the constructions and that would be great. But again, I'm going to France and I'm not going on vacation, so I will check it out the Europe stuff after the fight.
Yeah. Let me ask you before I get you out of here, Renato. I mentioned earlier, I wasn't joking when I said you've kind of become the financial advisor of MMA because when you started talking about money, everyone loved the nickname and everyone loved the personality. But then, like, in your recent fights, like, you've actually been, like, showing people how intelligent you are and studying the financial markets and things like that. So let me ask you right now, where we're at in 2024, how are you feeling about the financials? Do you have any financial advice for people right now?
I I'm not financial advisor, like I say, but from what I'm heard, listening, we are in a big trouble financially. The interest rates are about to be cut. That means like that we're not selling. The employment is not good, so probably we could be even on a recession this year. And to me, it's hard. To me, it's hard. The only thing that I would say to you is try to understand Bitcoin. That's something that could help you, especially if you're very young. The system is not going in your way, and like markets. I think from now on, every time the market is going up, they're going to uh, lower the interest rate, so the rich going to buy more land, going to buy more houses because the interests are low. They're going to invest more in stocks. Stocks are on the all-time highs. They have been crazy, and if you don't have money to invest, the dollar is just going to losing money. And from my perspective, what I see is America is becoming a third world country financially. Like I say, I have seen a debt between the middle class, the rich, and the poor that are increasing every year because the government doesn't have austerity. They don't talk about the debt enough. US is in a massive debt right now, 34, 35 trillion of dollars, and they just getting like uh, 20 trillions to pay that with taxes, and the difference, they are fucking printing money and destroying the dollar. So you should not trust on the CPA, on the consumer price index, because that's not true. You have to understand that the government can and they are printing more money and try to solve this debt through inflation, but that's not gonna happen forever. So if you want to get out of the system, I'm not recommending you to buy Bitcoin, but I'm recommending you to try to understand Bitcoin and try to read something about the classic Austrian economic school, so you will understand what I'm talking to. What I'm talking.
I love it. And listen, you know how it is with fighters. Like when you get a big paycheck, a lot of fighters still live paycheck to paycheck. I know not everyone's going to study like you do, but I know you said, you're not a financial advisor, but the reality is all fighters should make sure they're doing financials, because you got to remember, this is a short career. You turn 40, 45, you're not getting that $50,000, $100,000 paycheck anymore. So plan for the future. And obviously it sounds like you are very much planning for the future.
I'm planning for the future, but listen, it's not about it's not about study. It's about your behavior. First of all, you have to save money first. You have to spend less money than you get. That's the concept is very easy, but most of the Americans right now, not only the fighters, are in debt. They are living paycheck to paycheck, and they are paying the bills with the credit card, and they just increasing the debt. This is all over the US. So first time, live below your means. Don't buy stuff that you cannot afford, and then stick to a plan. If you have a 401k, if you like stocks, if you like mutual funds, do something. Do dollar cost average, or stick to your plan. Don't keep changing your plans. So I have my plans, and I will live off the fruits of my labor 20 years from now. That's not a shortcut. You have to study and understand and wait, because that takes time.
Listen, Renato, I have an accountant myself. I have a great accountant myself, but I tell you what, next year when my taxes come due, I might be calling you for advice. I'm just saying.
No,
I might be.
no, I don't know nothing about taxes. That's why we have accountant. But I'm just the last thing that I want to point out is take care, because if they tell you they're going to raise the taxes so they can take care of the people, that's the number one bullshit ever. The number one bullshit ever. So you have to cut taxes and let people make money and people make their own decisions. We have to stop talk about government increase. We have to cut government. We have to stop welfare. Otherwise, the system will collapse one day. And I love America. I love the way America was built, and I want America keep going on for a long time. But if you don't work, if you get money from the government, if your company is subsidized of the government, this is just going to increase the debt, and the debt is just too high right now. One day the government will not pay the bills, because that's going to be impossible. So do your part and try to understand some of this.
I love it. Renato, every time I speak to you, I learn something, and I love talking to you, man. Obviously, I want you to have a great rest of your training camp. Safe travels over to Paris. I can't wait for this main event. Very much looking forward to it. And seriously, I always love talking to you, man. So thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. And let's catch up after another big win.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon, Demo.